Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again. In today's video, we are going to be removing something from the Frontier build today. And what that is going to be the front sway bar. Now, I'm lifted. If you've seen the videos, you already know. If not, go back, check those out, consider subscribing. But we've got the Dobinson lift, bigger tires, bumper, everything you can see here. And one thing that happens when you're off-roading and you get a little bit into the fun parts, the sway bar is keeping back the truck from flexing as much as it could, because the sway bar does what it's supposed to do. This wheel's coming down, it kind of locks it in place with that wheel. So when you're coming up over bumps or whatever the case may be, the truck is going to lift, and of course when your tire's not on the ground, you're not going to have as much traction as if it's on the ground. Common sense, right? Only thing is people have said, well, if you take it off, and it is true, you have the risk of rolling potentially the truck because it's your sway bar. It helps the truck not sway back and forth under extreme cornering. For now, I'm leaving the back one on. I have the tent and stuff back there. It just keeps everything more stable. But up front, I would like to see the tires be able to flex a little more than they do now. So we're going to remove it. I'll take it out for a drive in a future video. I'll let you guys know how it is if I feel any major differences. One of the reasons, or one thing that made me decide to go this route, is if you look at anybody with the Titan swaps, or I believe the Rough Country 6-inch lift as well, the sway bar is already gone. So yes, they do gain a little bit of width, especially with the Titan swap. You get the wider tires, which even if it's only an inch or two wider, that makes a huge difference on the stability of your truck around corners and stuff. So mine's a bit wider just because I got beefier tires. But again, I've got stiffer suspension up front as well. So if you're doing this with your stock suspension, you might have more of a kind of crazy moments out there, let's call them, where as mine, I got the heavy duty struts up front now. So that's going to kind of eliminate some of the sway anyways. So the bar really is just getting in the way of things. So what we're going to do right now is get under the truck. What we got to do first is get the aluminum skid out of the way. It's just a couple bolts on each side. Pop it down, and then it's just a couple more bolts for the sway bar itself. So let's get at it. All right, so to get the aluminum skid plate off, it's just 4 bolts, 2 there on the passenger side, and 2 there, which they're actually starting to rust, on the driver's side. Now keep in mind the driver's side has this little hook here, so take those 2 out first. The hook will hold this thing up so it's not falling on your head. Take those 2 out, and then you can just hold it, wiggle it out from the little hook here, and like I said, you don't have it falling on your face when you're trying to get it out of your way. All right, so the skid plate is off. If you're wondering, it's a 15 millimeter to get them out. And for those of you that I know will comment about the rust, the reason these bolts are resting on the head is, if you look, my skid plate has been used. And I found a nice big rock here one day. That's why if you look at this thing, she's not exactly straight anymore. And what I've actually done is slid across probably that same rock that day over these bolts. So the head is kind of a little bit crushed and floured out a bit. That's why it's rusting. If you look at the other bolts on the other side, the top is just fine. Nothing. Same old bolt as it was on day one. Whereas these have lost a couple pounds because I've gone over them a few times. But you know what? They're holding up. And for a piece of aluminum, that's actually doing its job quite well. All right, now to get this out is quite simple. Here, you can see your sway bar goes there, across. It's got 2 hangers, one right there, one right here in front of us, 17 millimeter bolts. You got one there, you got one up top. All you got to do is loosen those off, and she's off. Now, that side and this side, where your little end links are, if you've never taken off these type of bolts before, again, it's a 17 mil. But you can see here, it's got your little hex in there. You need an Allen wrench or some sort of something to hold it, because when you loosen this, because this is able to move, the bolt spins. So obviously you got to get it tight. So what they do is they hold it with a hex, tighten the nut, and then it's tight. Where when you try to loosen this now, chances are, maybe if you have an impact, if you can get it in there and zip it off really quick, sometimes you can get them off. But with hand tools, you'll have to get a wrench on here, get something to hold the hex head, and then break it loose. Once it's loose, they usually thread off pretty good. This one, again, is kind of a little bit corroded, so maybe hit it with WD-40 or whatever, and just help yourself out a little bit. But that is literally all you have to do. So we're gonna get those off. I recommend saving the middle ones here. Save them for last, because when it drops down, you can kind of hold it in the middle and let it come down. All right, so we got the end link portion out. One thing to keep in mind, to get the top bolt for the bracket that holds the sway bar, top bolt on the driver's side, you have very limited room to get in there. So I got the little 1/4-inch ratchet on there, and these things are very, very tight. So one, you got to hulk it to break those loose, or two, you need a breaker bar or something to put on the end of here to break it loose, because I can tell you right now, I've been trying and they are in there. The other ones, obviously the bottom's easy to get at, and then on the driver's side up top here, you got a lot more room. You see how that's all empty there, but you come to this side and that plastic piece is in the way. So the other two, easy enough to get with a breaker bar. Bottom one, easy to get to a breaker bar here. This one, you might have to play with a little bit. All right, so the sway bar is out, just like that. A little bit of a pain in the butt with the top one here, like I said. But nice thing with the way they make these is, as you can see, the top one is notched, where the bottom one is a drilled out hole. So that one that I said was a little bit tight, I put the ratchet in there, get it this way, point it towards the driver's side, because you got to push it up. And then I got Big Bertha here, and I just tapped the wrench or the ratchet up until it broke, and you only have to loosen it slightly, because then this will drop out. And keep in mind, I do recommend, you can see there and there, put your bolts back in the hole. Not only are you not going to lose the bolts if you want to put this thing back on one day, but it's going to keep gunk and stuff from getting in there. You're not going to damage the hole in any way. And then, like I said, if you were to want to put this thing back on at some point, you're not going to have to rethread your holes or find new bolts or whatever. So get those off. The bottom ones come right out, and then this thing just literally drops right out and it's off. And then as for the end links, like I was mentioning before, I actually lucked out. The passenger side came right off. The driver's side needed a little bit of help, which is where this guy comes in. A T40 Torx bit fit right in the end there. And then, like I mentioned, you hold that. You can use an Allen key as well, they do fit. Hold it with your ratchet or whatever you got in there. And then your 17 mil nuts, which are these guys. Threaded on like so. But when you turn, because this thing pivots, like I said, this can actually spin, it can rotate. So if the nut's on there, and you can see a little bit of corrosion happening on this one, so when I was loosening it with the wrench, it made it to about here, the rusty spot, then it wouldn't go anymore. So then that's where this guy comes in. You just put it in there like that, either use the open end or the box end of your wrench and just thread it off by hand. It'll come off. And the other option you can do is actually ratchet the bolt, just hold the nut still and ratchet this thing. The only thing, I know these things can spin in here. This is full of grease. It's supposed to do its job, but I don't want to turn that. The least amount of spins on there you can get, in my mind anyway, is better than spinning this thing away. Because like you can see, this moves where the bolt is staying completely still, right? But again, I wouldn't want to spin that enough, like a bunch of times for nothing. So just use your wrench, takes a little bit more time, but spin the nut off. Try not to spin the actual end link bolt. And then now all we got to do to finish this off is get our skid plate back on. So we'll hang that up. Again, 15 mil bolts for under there. They bolt to the brackets here. and here. Threaded nut welded on there already, so it just goes on, and then nobody will even know your sway bar is missing other than you. All right, guys, so there you go. It's as easy as that. Sway bar's out. You got 4 bolts in the middle, 2 on the outsides for your end lengths, and that's it. Drops right out. Like I did mention, for the middle bolts, tighten them back up, put the bolts in there, thread them down. It'll save you the hassle later if you ever want to put this on. For those of you who want to know, this thing's probably around 20, 25 pounds, so you are losing a little bit of weight if you take it off. And then hopefully we will gain a little bit more articulation out on the trails. As for driving on the road, I'm not going to add that to this video because myself personally, I hate when people take things off or on. They go for a drive 5 minutes later for 5 minutes and they make it sound like it's a, night and day difference. Oh my God, this is so good, blah, blah, blah. I want to actually drive it, see how it handles. I'll do the highway. We'll go off road a bit, city, a little bit sharper corners. Of course, this is a truck. We're not going to be ripping around like a Ferrari around corners and stuff, but I'm going to see the difference because I've owned this truck for 2.5-ish years now. And obviously I know how the truck feels. So with this removed, I'm going to have a good idea of how different it is. And I can tell you, if you're going to be rolling the truck or scared out there on the highway, you're not going to feel confident anymore, I will figure all that out and drop it in another video. So if you want to see that, make sure to like and subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you want to take this off, hopefully it helped you out. So like I said, like and subscribe. Hopefully we catch you in another video, and thanks for watching this one.